joining me. How are you keeping? Hope you're doing well. I finished another army. The Odds and Sods painting challenge is working out for me, and this month it's motivated me to do another army, although I cheated a little bit with this one, but I'll tell you why in another video. So I was going to do a show and tell for my Egyptian High Elves, which is what I've just been working on, but I was thinking about what I might want to say about this army, and paint was quite important. And I thought, actually, do you know what? That's a whole other video to itself. So I'm going to do just a quick video because I've recently bought something that I didn't think that I was going to buy. I've recently bought some actual Citadel paints. Now I haven't bought Citadel paints for at least 20 years. When I got back into painting in, when was it? 2009, 2010, something like that. These elves were the first thing that I started working on. And the hobby shop that I was buying stuff from near me sold Vallejo paints. So I bought Vallejo, and I really preferred using those to the Citadel paints that I had been painting with. So I painted with Vallejo for a while, and I had to get my Vallejo paints out again to paint this army. And since then, I've moved mostly onto the Foundry system, and I still really, having gone back to the Vallejo for this, I still really prefer using the Foundry paints. I just find them a lot easier you don't have to dilute them. And I don't usually dilute my paints, but coming back to the Vallejo, I found I really had to. I don't know if that's just because they've sat unused for a few years and they've thickened up a bit, but I think actually they were always a bit thick from the dropper bottles. So I preferred using the Foundry paints, but in January some friends and I took a little road trip up to Foundry, where we were going to Warhammer World and then to the Warhammer 40,000 escape room in Nottingham, which is a lot of fun. I thoroughly recommend it. But we stopped in on Foundry on the way up because I wasn't going to pass up the opportunity for them to see all of the nice old Hammer stuff that's in the cabinets there. And they got really excited about the Foundry Pirates. So what we did was we bought a pack of Foundry Pirates each, and then we drafted those packs to create crews of 7 or 8 minis each, which we're going to be playing games with using one-page rules. But part of that was that we realised that we didn't see nearly enough of each other, so we thought we'll go and buy these pirates, and then we'll aim at 1 day a week. It's actually worked out with 1 evening every other week pretty much, but that's better than before. We're just going to sit together for an evening and paint and catch up, and then we'll play a game to round the evening off, and that's been working really nicely. But rather than take all of my paints down to my mate's house, I've been using his paints, and he's got an assortment of Vallejo and Foundry and Game Colour and Citadel stuff, and I've been avoiding the Citadel stuff, although watching other people painting with the contrast paints and thinking, oh, that's interesting, that's how that works. I was been a bit sniffy of the contrast paints because I use the Army Painter quick shades, and I sort of feel like the contrast paints just sort of ripped off that idea and then made a worse product. But actually, I did experiment with a couple of them when I was doing the cream brocade down my captain's coat. I didn't want to use the strong Army Painter quick tone, which was the only one that my friend had. So I was looking at his contrast paints and seeing what's kind of equivalent. And he had this colour called Contrast Skeleton Horde, which is a current Citadel colour contrast paint, and I found this was really good for shading the creams and the whites, because it didn't run as much as the Army Painter stuff. It's a bit more thick as a liquid, and you can run it into the edges like you can with the quick tone, the quick shade stuff, but then you can sort of feather it out without it bleeding all down and running all down the figure. So I did actually really enjoy not using it as a contrast paint per se, as in like washing the whole thing to try and get a colour, but just as a way of getting some good easy shading on something. I found that to be really effective. So I bought myself some Skeleton hoard. I was also looking for golds for the brocade, and there were a number of them, and I've got a number of Vallejo golds. I've got, what's this one? I've got a bronze, and I've got a shining gold and a bright gold that I really like, but they weren't piratey gold, if you know what I mean. They weren't that kind of yellow, kind of cartoony gold. So I settled for using another Citadel paint, the base Retributor Armour, and I've actually found that this is a really good highlight colour for the Vallejo bronze that I use quite a lot. I have been highlighting it with silver, but which gives it more of a bronzy colour, but it doesn't really preserve the gold, whereas this does very nicely, and it doesn't have too much sort of flecky metallic pigment in it. I've been using the Foundry metallics, but I don't really, the silvers are fine, but I find the golds, the metallic flakes sort of separate out a bit and you don't get a really consistent colour. But the Retributor Armour does seem to be a very nice, strong, bold gold. So when I was in Kobold's Cave on Saturday in Stroud, playing some AD&D with some friends, I thought, this is a good opportunity to actually buy something from the shop, because they sell mostly Magic the Gathering, which I like, but I like vintage Magic the Gathering, of course, and Games Workshop stuff, and none of the modern Games Workshop stuff am I at all interested in. But I thought, I can help the shop out because I can buy some paint. So I bought myself some Skeleton Horde and some Retributor Armour to use with my Egyptian High Elves, which are now finished. So next video, I'll talk a bit more about those, I guess. But I just wanted to share with you that I'm not a complete Games Workshop snob. I am totally happy to buy their products if I can see a use for them, and in this case, those two I found particularly useful. But no doubt I shall show you my pirates at some point as well. They're not nearly finished because we're only getting a couple of hours every other week working on them, and I'm not working on them aside from when we're sitting down and painting, but I'm sure at some point soon they will get finished. You may also notice one other thing is slightly different. I'm wearing something that I haven't worn before in these videos. In fact, that until yesterday I wasn't wearing at all, and that's my new pair of glasses. When I was about 8 years old and all of my friends were getting glasses, I was like, I want glasses. Glasses are a great accessory. But apparently my eyesight was too good to have glasses. But I've been getting quite bad eye strain over the last few weeks, really noticeable. My vision's been a bit blurry, my eyes have been achy quite early on in the day. So I went to see an optician, and they did all their eye tests, and actually, considering I hadn't been to an optician for 20 odd years, my eyesight was not much changed. I was expecting, having done lots of close-up work, that I would have lost a lot of far-sighted vision or become very short-sighted. But that doesn't seem to have happened. But a lot of screen work at the moment. I've been doing a lot of screen work at work, but then also proofreading tableaus from Tel Avlar, which is the new Woods book, which is coming out in a few weeks' time. So I've been proofreading that on screen, which has involved a lot of sort of staring at small words on the screen, which is not ideal, and that has caused me to get a bit of eye strain. So they've prescribed these glasses, which are very low prescription, but they are for when I'm doing kind of concentrating up close work and screen work. I say I put them on for the first time yesterday. I haven't really noticed much difference so far, but I did do some painting last night with them, and I'm just looking now. I mean, there's a little bit of, feels like there's a little bit of magnification in them. They do make the edges of things a lot clearer. So I guess there is benefit to wearing them. I don't really like working through lenses. I've used magnifying lenses, both glasses and the sort of circular ones that you work underneath. I've used both of those previously, and I really find that they alter my depth perception quite badly. So it's kind of okay for painting, but when I'm sculpting underneath one, it's horrible. I haven't tried sculpting with these on yet. We'll see how that works, but potentially I might get a bit better sculptor because of wearing them. I don't know. I'm hoping not to wear them too much. I'm still hoping that I can keep my regular eyesight as much as possible, and then just just wear these when I feel like I need them. But at the moment, because my eyes are so sort of achy and feel like they're really struggling, I'm going to keep them on for quite a bit. It's just a shame that everything I like doing involves, close up work. Maybe I need to go and take up archery again and try and focus on things that are further away. But anyway, take care of your eyesight. It's a precious thing, and we don't want to lose it. So hopefully these sort that out. Right. Well, I need to just do a couple of finishing touches on these guys, and then I'll do another army showcase, which probably won't be next week, might be the week after, and show you my Egyptian high elves. Take care, and I shall see you again.